This the next aspect we are going into. We're going to be talking more about how did you become born again. Yes, you have told us that in the village, it was a mixture of all of those things. And at what point, at what age, which particular year, when did you become born again? What happened? How? Please, want you to share with us, sir.
Yes. I permit me to just stay with start with this story.
Okay.
When I left school, when I finished from the university,
Okay.
and I already started teaching in the Sunday school, I remember one of my children is now a medical doctor. She's now in London, married, having children, all those one.
If you are the one, please,
you
need to reach out to us.
We used to call her Adama.
Okay.
She knows herself.
So if you are Adama and you are watching
she's
this,
now a doctor.
You're a medical doctor and you're Adama, and you are seeing this face, you need to reach out to us.
So she came to me in Jos then and said, "Sir, I don't have spectacular testimony like my friends used to have. That you will hear some of them and they will say, oh, they used to be very great drinkers, fornicators, but something they just saw, God appeared to them. But in her own, that the mother was too much caging them. Actually, as at that time, they have lost their father. They were 4 siblings. And the mother was so committed to the church we were going to. And I have to tell her that, look, everybody doesn't need to have a somersaulting encounter to be a Christian. So, and she took it. However, mine also was like hers. I wasn't, anyway, like I said earlier, I look gentle. I was looking gentle. And I thought I was okay.
Wow.
My primary, my secondary, and of course, people, when you ask them, say, when were you born again? Say, I've always been born again. Even before my mother created me, I was born again, which is a wrong thing. However, that was my life too.
Wow.
But when I got to the university, my first year, there was an organizing of a crusade, and I was invited. That was University of Benin, December 1981.
Wow.
And I got there, and I can still remember that the speaker was Reverend Dr. Shambach, who came from US.
Wow.
And by the time, it was an evening program.
Wow.
Precisely December 20th,
December 20th,
1981.
Wow.
And by the time he started talking, I said, oh, all this one, because I used to, maybe, I don't know whether I was bright too, but maybe a village champion. I used to be very bright. God takes the glory. And I thought I was over born again. In the primary, in the secondary. Used to be in the choir. If at any time they are selecting choir people, they will say, I must be there. I thought maybe because I was spiritual. But it was in the preaching of that night,
that particular crusade. Wow.
when he said, look, no matter how bright you are, if you don't have Christ to dwell in your life, if God is not involved in your move, even in this university, you will still go to hellfire.
Wow.
And I decided to evaluate my life that. So it means all these things I'll be doing from primary, secondary, post-secondary, before I got admission. So if I had gone, I would just go to hellfire. I say,
Wow.
I need to be committed. So when there was a call for those who will want to, I said, look, seriously, number one, I didn't want any of the things I did before to be a waste, that I was actually playing. And secondly, I don't know, silently, I told myself, God, I want you to use me to also help people. But that was a silent prayer that I didn't want to pronounce to anybody, but not intending to be a missionary.
Wow. So maybe before we get there, there's a statement you made now, and I just want to re-echo it. No matter how bright you think you are, outside of Christ, everywhere is still blur. Outside of Christ, that life, everywhere is still blur. No matter how bright you are, outside of Christ, everywhere is still blur. And I'm sure I'm using this generation's language, so they understand what I'm actually saying. So it is important that it's not the level of brightness first. It's important that we do well academically, but academics outside Christ does not amount to anything. And so now that you are talking about a silent prayer, I've come to realize that there are times that it is not even the loudest prayer that God answers. Sometimes God picks the silent one. So can you now say, sir, that maybe it was at that point that God begins to speak to you about mission work or missionary work, or at what point?
Yeah, something very similar. So that year, as I told you, I was in my 100 level when I gave my life to Christ. Realizing the fact that I would have gone to hellfire, something like that, if I had died before then. I decided, even though in the university you have so many activity groups, as they were calling it then, maybe those in the choir, those in the ushering, something.
And you already singing before.
And in fact, I thought I will be a choir member.
Wow.
So, but I decided to say, God, the whole thing is confusing. Let me stay. So for the whole of my 100 level, I was attending CU Uniben.
Wow.
And the teachings were superb, different from what I used to hear in the Anglican in my village.
Wow.
Anglican is a great thing now. It's a different thing now.
Of course.
So I said, God, I will wait. I kept waiting, first semester, second semester. It was when I came back to the for 200 level, and I said, I must work. And there were teachings, of course, that look, you can't be a bench warmer in the service of God. So even if you are here and you are enjoying it, you must do something. Yes. You must be active for God. So I started praying, God, where do you want me to be? Of course, I already made up my mind that I can join choir. After all, you have more females. So when you have male, it will be okay. Yes. But I just kept hearing children. Wow. Children. Wow. I was not reading CROS. There's no child evangelism ministry in the something. In fact, I remember that time Bishop Idausa was alive. Wow. He came to the university and maybe to come and preach one of those days. And then when they told him that there was going to be a baby dedication, he said baby dedication in a university student setting. He said, is there any person reading babyology? I can still remember that statement. So I was wondering, we are all students, mostly maybe 90% or 90-something% are not married. So what am I going to be teaching children? Then I now heard that there is child evangelism unit. Wow. That is how I decided to join and to see what I said. When God, as I said, it's a silent prayer that I want to help people. And it was like God was saying, you will start from there. But like I said, maybe it's all those activities in the fellowship. That is how I still target, not knowing where God will take me to.
Wow.
But that was the beginning when God said, go and be teaching children. So what the university fellowship does then is that every Sunday they will use the fellowship bus, take us to town in Benin.
Wow.
Then they drop us in different churches. I don't know anything there. And then you will find your way back. But our fellowship was actually 4 o'clock or 4:30 in the evening. So it's like your Sunday service as a children teacher.
Is
done outside in any of the churches.
And then you
they put
fellowship
it
with the
in
children
if,
and all of
eh,
that. And then in the evening you come back.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know whether you want me to just give you. There was an episode.
Okay.
During that year, I was already in 200 level,
yes.
but I was still a baby in the Lord. I just desire to be close to children. So one of the days, as I was coming, I saw the children running to me. Wow. Uncle Charles, Uncle Charles. He said, please, excuse me. And they said, is it true? When we touched the other, I said, tell him now. Wow. Ask him now. I was wondering what they wanted to ask. I said, what is that? He said, is it true that the register in heaven is filled up? That there is 144,000 that they are looking for. Yeah. I said, register in heaven? I said, how who said so? Then they say, you talk. Then one of the children told me that one uncle and one auntie came and told them that they should not worry about going to heaven. We all inherit the earth. Yeah. So me, I didn't know anything. I was a baby in the Lord. So I think what helped me, I just told them. I said, it's okay, don't worry. When I come next week, I will come and give you the answer. And as children, they just obeyed. But I now go back to the campus and I met the vice president of our fellowship there in a Kenwa campus, for those who know University of Benin. And I said, Uncle, is it true that we are wasting our time? That the register? He said, it was then I knew doctrines of some denominations.
Because we are on here, so we are not mentioning.
So it's part of those learning process of mine, because it is from there, even my teaching the children, that myself I was growing.
Wow. Now, as the Lord was now leading you like that, were there struggles, or by the time He now came and said, okay, it's time to go into the ministry full time? Everything was just falling into places, or were there struggles even right from the university?
Right from that place, though some of my fellowship mates knew that there was something in me. Sincerely speaking, that is over 40 years ago.
Wow.
We are still connected. The fellowship we hold every day, there's a prayer meeting we hold every day. CU, XCU, Uniben. And I was asking one of the brothers, I said, do you still remember me? He said, I know you, righteous.
Wow.
I thought I was a gentle person. So in all those things, I was just doing my thing gently. But I was wondering how I will actually continue. However, because of that burden, when I got to NYC, I actually wanted to serve with Children Evangelism Ministry. In the year I did NYC, that was the first time NYC decided to have this first tier and second tier. So okay. I was second tier. Okay. And nobody came.
What we now call first batch and second batch.
So
now I think we have more than that.
We have more than we thought. This first stream, stream 1, river 2, river 3, river 4. I don't know.
Let's leave it for them.
Okay. So when we got there, I thought they will actually CM people will come and pick me. Then there was no phone, no all these things. I waited and waited. Had the orientation come, nobody. Then we had our orientation Government Science Secondary School, Kuru, near Jos. But I was posted to Borno State. I have to go there. But while there was this struggle. Actually, I was teaching in the secondary school. But all the little I learned in 2 years at the university, that was what I was carrying. I said, look, I can join. Before then, the president of CEM had come to Uniben. Wow. But I don't know him. I don't have anything to do with him. But I just knew that, so some people are doing this thing very wholeheartedly. But in my own case, I just wanted to do the little I can. But while at the university there, at the NYC, I now interacted with CEM Borno State, Meduguri, and they now have to send another copper to join me in where I was serving. I can still remember the place, Yimrishika, in Biu local government of Borno State. Wow. So, and there was just one church, which is no more than I don't know, an EY church. Is a church for the northern people, so to say. They call it actually the EYN means Ecclesia Yanoa and Nigeria. That is Church of Brethren in Nigeria. I've never heard of it, but I committed myself into doing the thing. I didn't hear Hausa, I don't know, and they speak Hausa alone. But at the end of it, there were this thing. Why not just sign in? I said, where? From where?
Sign care.
Where? What will I do there? What will I be doing?
Wow.
There were these struggles, but I kept it to myself. Like I told you earlier, my desire was to be a prof. In fact, sincerely speaking, I said I'm from a sibling of 5. I'm number 3. The first 2 could not cross primary 6 up to today. They are still alive, and in fact, all their children are graduates. Wow. I'm number 3. Wow. My parents just have to struggle that I go to school, and so I wanted to continue.
So you are the first in the family
to cross primary 6.
Primary 6.
Yes.
Wow. So when the issue of the call to full-time missionary came,
thank you.
So how did, and because I'm sure quite a lot of young people will be looking forward to this particular question and your response. So how did the family, I'm not just talking about your dad and your mom alone, how did everybody, how did they receive the news?
When it came, actually, like I said, I served in Borno State. Later went to Meduguri to see if I can continue education. But in the process of looking for what to do, I went back. I got a job, so to say, with Hickory School in Jos. And that is where I was. That was where the encounter came. I got the job. It was very fine. I can still remember in those days. You are doing a job.
When you say the job is fine, it's fine.
It's fine. it's Oyibo school. So those who know Hillcrest up to today, most of the students are America, London. In fact, children of missionary Oyibo people. So they were paying us well. In fact, I was receiving 215 naira per month, which was big money.
Big money, as in
big money. Then all of a sudden, I don't know, I don't want to go into a story. God cut it short, and I became stranded. It was like God was saying, "It is where I sent you." I couldn't do anything again. Nothing was good. Nothing was interesting. I have to stay there just for 8 months, and people were asking, "What do you want to do?" I read economics. I just felt that actually I don't need to. How will I say? I don't need to leave a job when I've not seen another one, but I just have to leave. Even that day, I remember my employer was asking, "Charles, why do you want to leave? What is this thing? Do you have any other place?" I said, "No." and I left. But that drove me into prayer. And as I prayed, I keep praying, I keep crying. In fact, the prayer was more of crying. God, my parents are poor. I have now finished university. They struggle to, why can't I get something and then be giving them something and to say thank you? So you can guess the answer. What their response.
In fact, not just their response, their reactions. Their
in fact,
attitude.
I remember my sister asking, say, Charles, with all the school
you went to,
you even said that. You say that you'll be doing because I didn't know how to explain it to them in the way they will understand. He said, Pastor, which church is that? I said, it's not a church. He said, what? He said, actually we deal with children. He said, okay, so how much would they be paying you? I said, that is the question. We are not being paid. He said,
don't bring that.
Instead, I said, I'm from Edo State. He said, come back. There is an empty land close to us where they are staying. We will build church. We will be members
of the church.
We didn't say that you should not do God's work.
Wow.
But come, if it is church you want to do. You know, we can speak pidgin Edo.
Yes.
If in a church you want to do, come do church there.
Do church, yeah.
Now, it wasn't an easy thing. Wow. In fact, that day, I remember I couldn't eat. And I was just saying, God, where do I go from here? How do I explain it? In fact, it's like I have to be begging God, go and explain it. Because I don't know how to say it. Wow. Have your two other ones could not cross primary C's, and you have crossed. And then you read economics, and then fortunately, one of my, I told you that I have some people who were already going to university. One of them is a cousin to my mother, but they were very far. And then when I graduated, he was the auditor general of Bende State. Wow. Either Bende or Edo, whichever one, in those days. So when he went to the village, he saw my mom and asked my mom, where is that your son you say is in University of Benin? He said, he's in the north. He said he's doing pastor. So unfortunately, without knowing, there was no phone there. Me, I went to the office of the auditor general in Edo State, Ring Road then, in Benin. And when I got there, the man said, excuse me, I saw your mother. He said, you are doing pastor? What type of nonsense is that? What are you saying? What are you doing there? What are you doing in Gabari land? Oh yeah, sit down here. In fact, he just pressed button. And about 2 people came up to his office. Say, take this foolish boy, take him to Civil Service Commission. Let him go and collect form, and do better job for his life. Now it's like everybody was against me. I don't really know. He didn't even allow me. In his own case, he didn't allow me to explain. Say, this is what I'm doing. Say, your mother told me that you are doing pastor in the north, not even around us here. What type of work is that? Come here. And in fact, they just took me inside car. They went to the civil service. I saw so many people lining up. And then when they just showed this, this complimentary card, when they just gave to the young man, that is how the young man just opened his drawer, brought out the form, gave to me. I went by. He said, sit down there, fill it now, and we take it. I said, I'm going back to just tomorrow. He says, okay, no problem. I will send the thing myself up to tomorrow. I didn't go back to collect it. Though they called me for interview, but I didn't go. But I knew that it wasn't an easy thing, and I kept asking God. It's not that I knew what was going to happen. I keep asking God, if you are in this thing, please talk to them.
Wow.
But me, I know that the problem is between you and me. Thank you.
So, sir, let me round up. I want us to round up this aspect so that we can look at another aspect. Okay. Looking back now, will you say, oh, God, I thank you for helping me to obey you then and to come in to take up the work of a full-time missionary, or how will you respond to that?
In fact, I think the answer is what anybody can guess. A songwriter says, it pays to serve Jesus. And I'm speaking from my heart. I have no regret at all. Because if I say the places I would have gotten jobs, I don't know what would have happened to me. Let me just say two.
Okay.
Number one, when I was rounding up my service in Borno State, the people, my HOD in children department has a younger brother who was an economist,
Okay.
and he was an HOD in one of the high schools in Goza. Some of us must have heard about Goza and all those schools in Borno State.
Borno State, okay.
And he said, look, we don't want this copper to leave this village. Please, we don't even want him to leave our state.
Wow.
He's so resourceful to us. Let him. I went for the interview. Many of us went. There was no phone there. I kept going. Whenever I go there to go and check for my result, I discovered that some people are, some of my mates are teachers. Shebi, they said they have not called people. Why are others teaching? And later they have to tell me two things. Number one, you are not a Muslim, and number two, you are not a Kanuri.
Wow.
So I couldn't get the job. I was just wondering, when I kept hearing about how the origin of Boko Haram started that area, I was just imagining where I would have been now. Then when I came back to Jos, I also ventured into getting an employment with a church called Cooking Church. That one is a church. When I got there, I can still remember 77 of us did the interview. They were looking for teachers and all those kind of things. I just wanted a place where I can teach. And I kept going. One of the days, I met the pastor who is in charge of employment. I said, sir, I did the interview with others the other time now. School has started. Are you not? I did the interview and they told me I tried very well. And the man brought out the list. He said, oh, Mr. Charles, you took second position, but we don't have any vacancy. But I said, you will call for it. He said, sorry, you won't understand. I went back and cried. And the place they would have put me is where bandits are taking over today in Plateau State. And I just kept imagining sometimes. But all these ones are just insinuations. Wow. But however, God has been faithful.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.